they taught me to see the whole board. They taught me to make predictions and projections based on seemingly unrelated data, and then go through and measure it to tell you how we did versus our predictions. And that was everything from budgets to operations plans. I also have a tendency to tell stories because I got to give you background information somehow. So this is going to seem like it meanders a little bit, but we're going to circle around back to Kwanzaa. Trust me. Kwanzaa was created in '66 by Dr. Karenga. He was a scholar and an activist. And he did it as a way to promote unity and community, unity and pride among African Americans during the Civil Rights Movement. Unity and pride, or the desire to bring community together with dignity. These are not new concepts. The entire book of Deuteronomy in the Bible was Moses when the Israelis were about to go into the Promised Land. He gave them rules on how to live and rules on how to interact as a society so that they could thrive. Things like thou shalt not kill, don't covet your neighbor's wife, don't steal stuff, treat people with dignity and respect, love people over profits, things like that. During the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus took it a step further and he was like, yo, kindness, love, forgiveness, gratitude. That's what you show to everyone. And temperance and discipline, that's what you should have yourself. These things, taken together, they won't stop you from having troubles in your life, but that kind of thing can minimize your adding to your own troubles or making things worse. Like I said, these are old concepts. These are rules of living and thriving in a community. So why is that important? I mean, it's obvious to everybody here that cooperation is a better way forward, right? It keeps interactions friendly. Everybody can do well, but that's not necessarily human nature. We have instincts. We're competitive. We're greedy. People are self-centered. We covet. We lust. And it only gets worse the more disconnected we get. I don't know about you guys, but I can't get my kids out of the house. Ever since COVID, the way they grew up, all they are is video games. They don't go out and play. The way you used to know where the kids were is all the bikes would be on the front yard. We're disconnected as a society, and we trust each other less and less. Can you bring up that flower slide dress thing? Or is it right here? I can do that. Oh, that's not it. That's okay, we'll go to it. Oh, no, that's not me. Oh, I missed my dress. It's okay. No, don't worry about it. Basically, it was a picture, and it showed how far we've come from America. Companies used to send out flour in big old cotton sacks. They would just take them out, and the ladies were doing dresses for the kids out of these cotton sacks. They were doing dresses, they were doing tablecloths, whatever they could build out of it, because it was a big piece of cotton. When the companies found out that these folks were making clothes for kids and making towels for their homes and things like that, they started printing them with bright floral patterns and animal prints and making them pretty. A company literally took money out of its own pocket to serve its customers out of love. Imagine doing that in 2024. It's just not often done. Oh, are you kidding me?
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
You can do one more.
There, I wanted that. We're talking about community. This is Maslow's hierarchy of needs. I'm going to read part of this. It's a pyramid-shaped list of human needs. The bottom of the pyramid is physiological needs: food, shelter, sleep, safety needs, security, employment, resources. You want to sleep every day and eat. You want to eat every day and sleep indoors. On top of that, you need a sense of love and belonging, friendship, family, a sense of connection. You got respect, self-esteem, and it goes up to self-actualization. You being the best you can be and figuring out how to do that. The reason why I bring this up is because people always think that the military is full of exceptional people because we do exceptional things. I'm telling you it's not true. The military is full of trained individuals whose basic needs are being met. My theory is that the Department of Defense takes care of all of your basic needs. You eat every day, you sleep indoors, you have a place to stay, there's security on the base, you're armed, you're automatically given respect and love everywhere you go. Thank you for your service, sir. Oh my God, here's your military discount. So a lot of your needs are taken care of, so you have the ability to focus on what you're supposed to be doing, AKA the mission. Your family's safe, you have a social group, you have access to quality, affordable health care. That's a game changer in America, a game changer. Each base is a small town where folks feel safe and cared for. The troops troop, the dependents handle the day-to-day business of running the home. Expectations and roles are well defined, and people buy in and the community thrives. The military ensures your most basic needs are met so you can remain focused. Your needs are met and you can focus on you and taking care of your family. The military does give you a couple other things. One thing they give you is a sense of urgency. You decide, hey, I need to get this thing done, and the military drills into you, get it done as quickly and efficiently as possible, and then that way you can move on to the next thing and get that done. Because there's always a next task. The second thing the military teaches you is how to make good decisions. You may think you understand decision making. Oh, there's my flower dress. There you go. I love that picture. Because these folks would make dresses out of flour sacks, so they made them pretty. And they took out of their bottom line. You may think you understand decision making, but we really don't. Humans are emotional creatures, and we make emotional decisions, and a lot of times we don't go through and figure out why we made those decisions. The military realizes that, so they gave us a structured approach. It's the military decision-making process. This is the Air Force's version. There are several versions of the MDMP. This is the Air Force. It was created by a fighter pilot named Boyd, Colonel Boyd. And he did it so that he could teach pilots how to have air-to-air combats, dogfights, right? But the military uses this process for everything from strategic and theater level planning, regional conflicts planning, to promotion parties and luncheons. They use this. And basically it's the OODA loop. Observe, orient, decide, act. And it's in a loop. Observe, you take a look at the situation as it is. Not what you fear, not what you hope. You don't ignore what you can't do. You take a look at ground truth. This is what's happening, and you need to take an honest assessment. Then you orient yourself. Orient simply means figure out what you're gonna do about it. I was over 300 pounds. I needed to lose weight or I was gonna die. So I had to figure out what I was gonna do. Change my diet, start exercising, figure out what was stressing me out, get rid of a lot of the chemicals. I had to figure that out. So once you have a bunch of courses of action, you develop courses of action, you pick one. That's the decide phase. You pick a course of action that you think gives you the best chance of achieving your goal, and then you act, you do it, and you measure the results. You figure out what variables you were looking at, and you measure them to see if it's working. And since it's a loop, the stuff that you measured in the act phase is your input to the observe phase, right? And you go around, and you change the plan as necessary if it ain't working, and if given more information you figure out your goal wasn't worthwhile, you change the goal. Where are we at? There we go. Change or dump the plan as necessary. Change or dump the goal as necessary, given new information. I told you this is meandering. But we focus on what is. We don't focus on what we want. So let's look at what is. I normally start off with stats about black folks during Kwanzaa because Kwanzaa is a traditionally black holiday. Black women in America today are 3 to 4 times more likely to die during childbirth, and that's after accounting for access to health care. Black men are 3 to 4 times more likely to be shot in America, especially when unarmed. Unemployment and underemployment in the black communities is significantly higher than those in white communities. 20% of incoming medical students believe that black folks can take more pain than white folks, and a lot of times they still treat us accordingly. You get a black sounding name on a resume, given a similar resume, and this has been proven, you have a 50% chance of getting 50% less chance of getting a call back for that job, even given the same information. All these things are true, and one thing she touched on, if a dollar goes into a Jewish community, they say it stays in there an average of 6 months. It circles around the community, it cycles. A buck goes into the black community, it stays for around 6 hours. We We make mistakes. But this is a mixed crowd, so let's open the aperture. Let's look at what is. Howard County education. I went and took a look at their report card. It is a $1.5 billion operation, Howard County Public School Districts. That is about $16,600 for each kid that goes into their schools. Yet, 53% of high school students are proficient in math, and it's worse among the black folks at Howard because they do break that down. And 65%, give or take, are proficient in English and language arts. That means 35 kids out of 100 can't pass English, and just over half can pass math and do mathematics at grade level in high school. And that's $17,000 per kid, $1.5 billion per year. And that's not counting the $50 billion thing they have at the federal level, the Department of Education, that has 4,500 employees. But let's talk healthcare. As a nation, we spend over twice as much as the next most expensive nation on healthcare. Twice as much. And we get worse outcomes. And we don't have universal healthcare. And it's a top cause for bankruptcy in America. I got a personal example. My little cousin, she spends over $1,000 a month on average just to stay alive and healthy because she has a bunch of pre-existing conditions and she doesn't get her health care through a corporation. She doesn't qualify for disability because she makes too much money. So they can't help her. So when she has a bad day, she has a bad day. And on top of that, the IRS doubled down and they're auditing her. They are talking wage garnishment and they're talking asset forfeiture. The government tried to hire 87,000 IRS agents, 87,000. They didn't try to hire 87,000 Border Patrol agents. They didn't try to make airline travel safer. They didn't audit DOD to find out who was doing viral research during COVID. They decided, they didn't even put money in FEMA. They decided that their best way forward was to figure out how to get more money out of the middle class. Here's another example. The Social Security Trust Fund is running dry. They've been saying for the past 9 years that for the past 3 years that the Social Security Trust Fund would go bankrupt in 9 years. They've been saying that for 3 years. I would bet the under. And if it goes bankrupt, they're talking about a 16 to 25% cut in Social Security benefits, which will double elderly poverty. Double it. We are immoral. One way they're talking about fixing it is to means test citizens. And basically, if you make, $50,000 a year in retirement, well, you don't need Social Security, you're okay. So if you diligently plan all that money that they took from you all those years, oh well. And I looked it up because I was angry, sorry kids. I was angry. I looked it up and it says, paying into the system is no guarantee that you're gonna receive benefits or payouts. Don't believe anything I say, anything, go look it up. Go look it up. I swear to God, go look it up. Like Simdallah, go look it up. In my opinion, government can't, not won't, they can't help it. It's not only corrupt, it's ineffective and inefficient. And they have an agenda and it doesn't necessarily include our best interests. Government can't help, they are too big and they do too much. The federal government employs over 2 million employees. They are the nation's largest employer. They got more employees than Walmart. They got more employees than Amazon. They got 1.3 million active duty troops, 275,000 reservists, and about 470,000 guardsmen that they deploy all over the world. We have 750 bases, give or take, in about 80 countries and a military deployed presence in about 80 more. And it's an over $800 billion enterprise, and they can't pass it off. That's about $2.3 billion every day. Every day. Heck, the land of the free, we even have about 22% of the world's prison population, all while we're running a $2 trillion debt or deficit. And no one noticed that after July 25th, or 29th, when we hit 35 trillion in debt, before the election on November 5th, we had jumped up another trillion in borrowing. We are over $36.3 trillion in debt. The government can't take care of us. We're on our own. That brings us around to Kujichagulia, or the Kwanzaa principle of self-determination. I told you we'd get here. It's got to come around. I wrote a haiku. It's called Perspective. It says, 52 years. You know what I've observed? Change you, and you change the world. In order to thrive in the days to come, we must change. We must change. Part of that change needs to be coming together as a community. And that's all of us, not just the black community. This is going to be an American thing for a while. There was a cash for keys deal. This lady, grandma bought her house in 92, 93. We handed her grandkids 5 G's, $5,000 to take this house that should have been paid off. They lost the house and they were grateful for the money, but we got to know the rules. Her home could have been saved with a working knowledge of taxes, insurance, and trusts. She could have saved her home. And they have nothing. Even when we do right, we can't do right. We have to know and understand the rules, but it's not just personal finances. I mean, if I could do it over again and I had to start over again as a young person, 18 to 20, instead of going out and paying rent, I would grab somebody I trust, a cousin, a family friend, and I'd buy a 2-unit or a 4-unit. Live in 2 of the units, rent 2 of them out. Live together in a home and build something. She was talking about community farming. That works. When I was growing up, everybody had a farm, and I'm from the city. And we still had little gardens where we could eat off of. We don't do that now. And I would strongly suggest communally educating our children, because around 35% of them can't read. They do bad English. They can actually read. But you know what I'm saying? We are failing our kids, we're failing our elderly, we are failing our community, and we're doing it constantly. So we have to find ways to help our communities. There's a guy in Baltimore named Chris. He runs a food bank called For My City Too. This is a $550,000 effort. He has 5 employees and around 20 volunteers. He passes out as much food in his community as the Maryland Food Bank does. And their top 4 employees, their combined salary is $1.2 million. And this guy gives away as much food with a budget of $500,000, and he employs 5 people. I'm a libertarian. Everybody, I always say taxation is theft, and people look at me and go, you just don't want to educate people. You don't want to feed people. We got rid of hungry kids in the 70s and 80s. We got rid of child hunger. Why do we have starving kids here again? We're not doing the job now. Libertarians aren't against communal living and communal operations and helping each other. We are against government oversight and taxing us, because their answer is always take more taxes. And our results are worse and worse. The government wants you to rely on them. And the fact is, we should rely on each other. But before we do that, we have to trust each other. And we all need to be more reliable. Building a community that protects and serves one another is a hedge against random tragedies, because you're not an island alone. If you fail in the hunt, your neighbor still makes sure you get meat, because next week he may fail in the hunt and he may need to get from you. Or better yet, why don't we all go hunting together to improve our chances of success on the hunt so that we all eat? Because ultimately, we rise or fall as a people. We do. Ecclesiastes chapter 1 verse 2 says the teacher, meaningless, utter meaningless, utterly meaningless. Everything is meaningless. I feel the author was saying we spend most of our time investing our energy and emotions in things that are earthly. And what does that get us? We love money, we use people. Sooner or later, we're going to pass on. We're going to pass by the mortal veil, and everything we built is going to be fought over by our relatives and taxed by the government. Everything that we're so proud of. So you got to put this stuff in perspective. Our purpose can't be the accumulation of things or seeking distraction. Our purpose should be to help each other. All that we own, all that we've known, perceived losses, supposed wins, all our victories, all of our sins are meaningless and ultimately empty. I say there's no meaning apart from God, but let's go in a more practical way, because that might be too preachy, and I've been told I get too preachy. So let me go a different way. There is so much abundance and beauty in the world, but just when you really start enjoying it, tragedy can strike, and it's all gone. A divorce, an illness, a death in the family, unemployment, a terrorist event, a stock market crash, COVID. All these things no one predicted, and they changed lives in an instant. Kwanzaa's ideals are important, and the community it seeks to develop could change the face of our neighborhoods in a generation. Oh, here we go. Kwanzaa slide. To know that you are part of a community, that's that unity, that's that, what's that, umoja, that shares resources, that's cooperative economics, that's that ujama, a community that loves and cares for one another's needs. That's collective work and responsibility, that's ujima. That is game-changing for our society. That would make everything better. And once your needs are met, we can go back to the military slide, military communities and Maslow hierarchy. Once those needs are met, you can focus on your mission, which is growing in your creativity, your kumba, and you can find your faith, your imani, so that you can find and fulfill your purpose, find and fulfill your nia. Taken together, you have the freedom to choose your own path as a people and as an individual, and that is kuzichagulia, which is self-determination. Happy Kwanzaa. Any questions? That was the presentation. I'm sorry.